Hello all, Cynthia here, back doing another layout in my Girls Weekend Away Traveller's Notebook. So I have these 4 little photos here, all different sizes. So I just used some collage app to print them out to the size that I wanted. And now I'm going through this cut apart sheet. I have the Hello Friends, and I thought that would be perfect to use. And I'm just going to start the shuffle around. I really want to use that Life is Better Together one too, because I think, well, we're a group of girls, we're off, we're having a great bike ride and a fun day. Thought it went well, but it doesn't make it on the page. As you can see on the background of the Traveller's Notebook, there's some bleed through from the layout previously where I used some gold Heidi Swap colour shine, and it's just bled through. So I've decided that I'll use this paper here and put 2 strips down this side, which will just cover up that little bit, and I'll use that as a part of the design of my page. So I still have these 2 cards here. I'm contemplating whether or not I should fussy cut around that Life is Better Together and use it as a second title. But in the end, I don't do that with that one. Got the design sort of looking the way I like, but it's still just not quite coming together for me. So I'm starting to go through all the ephemera and papers that are in the kit to see what else I can use. And thought maybe I'll try to use a bit of this paper as a strip down the side. Didn't like the way it come together, so I'm going to cut out a full strip and see how I can make it look. Have it sitting there down the bottom. I thought, oh, quite like that. Will that work down the bottom? No, it's not going to work down the bottom. And I try the sides and it doesn't work on the side, but I keep coming back to it going along the bottom. So in a moment I stick these 2 down because I'm definitely deciding that they are going to stay where they are. I'm going to lay those down. I do just sit them away from the middle of the page a little bit, so there's a little bit of a gap which will help the book close. And they're down. Don't have to be 100% perfect, but they're looking pretty good to me. I like the way those 3 photos sit together. I have that 4th photo of me giving the bit of a peace symbol. I can't decide whether I'll use that. That's the only one that's in the vertical position, where the rest of my little photos are in the horizontal, so I and ah. So I've cut this one up, and for a brief moment I contemplate putting them on the opposite side because I have yellow on the right hand side and I want to put the yellow to the left, but the hearts didn't line up and work correctly, so I abandoned that idea and go with the original plan of having it along the bottom. And I really like the way that looks. I think that looks quite nice down there. So going through, seeing what else I can use. I want to bring that little bit of darkness across to this side, just to help balance the page. I feel like the 3 photos on the other side, you know, there's some blacks and there's some blues in there, and I feel like they just, you know, needs to give a little bit of more weight onto this page. Have this frame that I want to use. It does. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does make it on this page in the end, actually. A little bit later down the track, I bring that back in. If you've been playing along with me, you know that in this particular Traveller's Notebook, I'm trying to put a piece of this cut apart sheet or this floral paper on each page, and so I'm just cutting out the papers here. I'm just cutting out a little cluster, and I'm going to tuck that in somewhere. Decided that to help even out the yellow, if I bring my photos to this side and put the yellow on that side, it should work out fine. So, and I quite like that, so I think I end up tucking that little photo of me in just there, and I think that looks quite well balanced, sitting it in there. If I don't use that particular flower cluster, I certainly go back in and I cut out another little cluster, and I think I use it there. So in the chipboard sheet, which is from Crepe Paper Here and Now, Here and There collection, I pull off these 3 little arrows to sort of have a bit of a gold glittery feel, and the other one's just a light pink, and I layer those across the bottom, which just kind of helps lead the eyes towards the 3 photos and seeing what else I can do. I like that chipboard piece that I have on the top one that says adventure and travel days. I thought they went quite well with this page, and there's that little frame that I bring in. I want to use that frame as it has a little bit of gold, that gold glitter on it, which is the same as what's on the arrow chipboards on the other side. So that sort of just repeats that element across to that page. As you're cutting out another little flower, just going to tuck it under the top up there to bring that element across. I thought I would use one of these little cut apart sheets, stick it in here, stick it in there, but no, it doesn't make it. It just doesn't work at all, so that gets thrown aside as a bad idea. Trim off that brighter floral piece there. I don't want that, but I quite like the greenery that's on it, so I tuck that behind the pink one over on this side, which really helps. Once again, just bring that same element across and repeats it on both sides. And I'm going to start to stick things down. And just using the trusty tape here, I'm going to place those down. As always, I do trim, pull off, I should say, a lot of the... okay, thought I'd trim this out, but obviously not. The son was deciding what he was going to have for lunch. Want to know how long it needed to cook for. Anyway, back to where I was. I did peel off some of the layers of the thick chipboard here of these arrows to make them a little bit thinner. I've done that with most of the chipboard throughout this album. When it's on a regular 12 by 12 page, I don't worry about doing that, but on this traveler's notebook, I thin them out, and here you go. So obviously I've just done it there. And you can get them quite thin, which is really good. What am I doing now? I've obviously decided to leave those for a minute. I've got sidetracked doing this side of the page. I'm not too sure why I did that. I think I might have got up and turned the hot glue gun on. So now I'm just waiting for that to warm up. I did put these back down, but decide that they were a little bit too far into the middle, so I do pull it all back up in a moment and shift it across a little bit more. I'm not too sure at what stage I decide to do that. Maybe when I go to put this one down, I think to line them up, because I do want the right hand side all lined up. They're just in a little bit too much, so I think I pull it all up and just yep, let's definitely pull it all up. Decide to just move it across to the right, just a smidgen, and that looks a little bit better. There you go, hot glue gun's all warmed up, and going to put those 2 pieces down. Really like the way they're looking, and going to add just a little bit of hot glue around that side there where you can't actually see it under the photo. And then I grab a little bit of chipboard to add some dimension behind that photo so it sits up correctly. You'll see that in a moment. Glue down those arrows, and there's not a lot more I do to this page. Oh, that's right, yes, there is a little bit more. And there we go, I'm just using some of that chipboard as I spoke about to help that photo stick up a little bit so it's not, doesn't go flat on me. As always run out of glue. Am I the only one that always runs out of glue every time I use the hot glue gun? It could possibly be because I leave the hot glue gun on for maybe a few hours at a time, and the glue melts. Want to bring in some of these hearts. I was going to try to use that one down the bottom, but felt like it was too big for that spot. And I don't even think it makes it on the page in the end. I don't have the final page here. I feel like it was a little bit too heavy. Thought I might use one of these tags. Don't know, can't remember. We shall find out together. Don't think it would go like that. I feel like I want something there. You can see a tiny little chipboard piece, so I'm trying to cover that up with something. But what will I use? Coming back in with some more geotags, because once again we're out and about and on adventure. And then I realised there's a little white heart there, so I put that down instead. And this is where I decided to come in with some of the beautiful sequins that are in the mix. So what I do is I just grab a little bit of glue and just dot it around the page. And initially was just going to put the pink ones down, but I do come back in and add some of the light green as well. And I spread those around. Don't think you see me on camera, but I do put some journaling down. I print that out and cut it in strips and put it down on the left-hand page there, just sort of running a little bit down the centre of the page, basically a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom. Just talking about on this bike ride, it was an eventful bike ride. What was meant to be a leisurely half-hour ride, the one way took us nearly 2 hours after some issues with getting the bikes off two lots of bike racks. And then one of the bikes, as you rode along, wheels would randomly lock up, and we got lost a couple of times, and we had to cross a couple of highways. But finally, we got to where we wanted to go, and once we was on the right path and we changed the bikes out a couple of times, we finally got a good set of bikes, was on the right path, had an awesome ride, and a reasonably uneventful trip back, which did take us about 40 minutes, so with only one bike issue on the way back. So all in all, we had a gorgeous day, got down to where we wanted to go, had some lunch, did some shopping, and just had a fantastic full day out. And that's it. Put a couple of little stamp word phrases around, and that's it. Stay tuned for the close-up photos where you can see the journaling. As always, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, and I will catch you on the next video. Until then, everyone, have a lovely day, a lovely week, and a lovely month, and I will talk to you on the next one. Catch you then. Bye.